Welcome back to Madison Square Garden. We are here for the climactic Game 5. ROX Tigers, they won the LCK finally here in the summer split. SK Telecom T1, reigning world champions. They've already won it twice, by the way, last year and 2 years before that. And now it's, okay, who's going to make the final? Who can finally close out the series? ROX, who have been cursed, never able to beat SKT, maybe now they can.
Yeah, and it's such an insane series. They had the chance in Game 4. Bengi subbed back in, he saved him, right?
Yeah.
Now they have to kind of readjust. Luckily for them, they're on the blue side. That's the advantageous side that everyone gets to choose.
Yeah.
And really, at this point, anything can happen. Your preseason preparation, your whole year, it all comes down to this game and who plays better.
Especially pick and ban here when SKT have maneuvered essentially once they went to the blue side here to have room to at least get a power pick early on that first pick, but right now they have too much to ban. There's four picks available and they only have ban slots for all three. Are we going to see maybe 2 left open, trade 1 for beneficial first rotation on purple side, but you can't really leave the Nidalee open either. And ROX, they're just going to stick to the game plan, get rid of the Ryze, get rid of the Syndra, and then maybe react with a third ban.
And you can see the first ban is already Misfortune, so something has got to give already. Something that they've not wanted to give up the entire series will be allowed.
Yep, guaranteed here with the Nidalee being banned.
So it's Aurelion Sol or Jace that's going to make its way to the first pick. Olaf is out, forcing Bengi to play Lee Sin if he wants to steal it away. If not, ROX are going to get their favorite jungler and a strong power pick early.
There's also a chance they ban something completely different so that they can get something on the return picks right here, because I actually feel like they ban Aurelion Sol just because if they do leave both of them up, they pick the Jace, and FLICKR doesn't want to play Aurelion Sol.
Oh, no Jace.
No rush at all, actually, and preferring, even with Zyra on the table, the Karma instead. The Misfortune, of course, is not available as the counter pick.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that happen in long series like this, where you have a permaban. As soon as you drop it from the permaban, the expectation is that a team immediately pounces on it, but sometimes they don't even care. Sometimes they actually have something they want to play.
Turns out you were banning it for no reason at all.
Yeah.
Also curious is the first pick, Ashe, is also nowhere to be seen, which is interesting as well, where we had seen that several times, and it felt like it was the major reason that ROX Tigers were winning was praise Ashe, and then the previous game it wasn't quite as good, and now it's just not even prioritized.
Yeah, and now with the Misfortune ban, do they just go Ashe Zyra right off the bat? There's so many different variables that they could pick for this game.
But this will be interesting, the double steal away here.
With Elise up, too, is the interesting thing for me, because I am super fearful of Peanut's Elise, although he has been prioritizing Elise in lately.
The mind games definitely going on here. The Ashe pick suddenly contested in the series, completely unprecedented here during Worlds. Everybody's like, yes, Prey is an Ashe player and he can always come back, but nobody expected it to make its way. At least not this high in priority.
Ooh, and it's the Flex Karma again.
And the Jace,
and the Jace comes through. Here we go. So
bring it.
Very few tanks available, but you've got support in the mid lane. And is it going to be Prey's incredible Jhin to round it out?
So they get counter pick jungle. They get, I think this is what prompts them, honestly. They get Peanut on a counter pick jungle from whatever's remaining to give him his favorite champion that he wants to play. They have an aggro top laner right there with the Jace. Combine any jungle with that and you have so much damage. If you have the synergy to pull it off, you can definitely nail some ganks. So you got free push in mid lane with the Karma. This is Peanut's playground.
And with the range they have here, I would be pretty shocked if he doesn't pick Elise later in the draft. But you're looking at SKT right now, and it does feel like ROX just pulled off a really smart move in the draft phase, whereas SKT thought they'd be able to steal the jungler, when in fact they were just moving the Karma to the mid lane. And how does FLICKR want to play against the Karma in the mid lane? Because they did double ban him as far as the Ryze and the Syndra are concerned. Cassiopeia is a strong pick. His Zillion was very effective, but it's super hard to land bombs on a Karma who can just speed away.
He's going to switch the last second back to the Orianna. Utility in the mid lane. Very few tanks to be had here. Bengi on the Lee Sin, of course. They already know the Jace is top, and there are the champions we expected. The Jhin, as well as the Elise. ROX on a lot of comfort here in Game 5.
But this is, just like Game 1, Peanut's first gank has to stick. We saw what happens if it misses. He falls super far behind. But look at the potential. Karma mid lane, snare onto Orianna. That's instant cocoon. It's going to hit.
Oh, the pick potential from the ROX Tigers is absurd.
Insane.
The fact that Jhin could open up, Karma can just speed to a route. Jace can speed everyone up as well, so if they do land one cocoon somewhere, even in the mid or late game, that target's mostly dead, unless Duke has become an absurd level of tanky by the end of the game. So the pushing lanes are in the favor of the ROX Tigers from this draft phase. Bunch of range champions, very squishy if it goes to late games, which could lead to some series-deciding shockwaves. But SKT would have to get to that point because the early pressure is in the favor of the ROX Tigers.
If we want to see what Bengi does here in this matchup, we've seen Lee Sins that can get contested so hard because they are at a jungle disadvantage. Actually start on blue side early, pick up the blue buff themselves to make it spawn at least as soon as they can and go for a full clear early on. It's actually something Peanut likes to do on Lee Sin himself. I wonder if Bengi has watched those VODs and is going for that attempt because it could actually mean that he could outmaneuver Peanut in the jungle because it's quite unexpected start.
And Bengi, in the 2 games he has played this series, has substantially outfarmed Peanut. First game, Olaf versus the Elise. Peanut was doubling his CS at the 10-minute mark. Next game he had Nidalee, so it was a little bit expected with the champion matchup, but Bengi has really had a heck of a series.
And it's not the first time that Bengi has low-key carried SK Telecom T1 to a playoff win. Spring 2015, they had a semifinal against CJ Entis, back when Tom was the replacement for Bengi. And SKT goes down 0-2 in the series. Bengi comes back in, reverse sweeps, and they go on to win the split, 3-0ing Tigers at the very end of it all. Here, we have the same situation. Bengi plays game 1. They say, that's nice, thanks for your time. Blank is in, though. And Blank loses 2 straight. And they say, you're right. Summoner's Rift, Mr. Jungle, Mr. Bengi, we're sorry for doubting you. Bengi's back in. He's individually 2-0 against ROX Tigers here in this set and looking to make it a personal clean sweep, bringing SKT into the finals in this final game of the series.
Yeah, just such a series, the one we've been waiting for. And I agree with you on that Bengi point. For every superhero, they do in a sense need a sidekick, right? If FLICKR is Batman, Bengi is definitely Robin. No one will put Robin on their top 20 superheroes in the world, but Batman definitely needs him. And that's been FLICKR and Bengi's relationship, winning 2 world championships together, the only players to ever do so.
And they're on the way to a 3rd. Half of all of the world championships would have gone to SKT if they can finish through on this series and on the next one in Los Angeles next weekend. It comes down to this game. Smeb gets the Jace that was banned in the 4 games leading in. We know he's had a great series, and now he gets a dominant lane. Jace Pop, he can turn either way, but I feel like you want to be the Jace in this one. You want to be Smeb here.
Yeah, let's track the jungle stars. There's no information on either side. There's a double leash here. Obviously, as Jet mentioned in the last game, there is fake leashing potential. So until these junglers get spotted, but right now both teams are under the assumption that the enemy jungler started on top side somewhere.
Yeah, and so many of these games have started with an insane focus on the bottom lane because of the crazy MF picks and the jungle pathing's always going towards them. But here we have the Jace finally making it through the pick and ban phase. Smeb, hailed as the best player in the world coming into the tournament, has been a little bit inconsistent in his play, but ROX still have a chance to win. And now he's on a champion who almost needs to crush lane to be effective. Smeb needs to shine here.
But you look, he's already playing so far forward here, just denying CS here. Yes, Duke gets the experience. In most Poppy matchups, Poppy has gone down into Jace about 30 CS early on. Then once the items start rolling in, that 30 CS disadvantage stays relatively static, but the pressure is almost always on Jace's side.
The question is, when is he going to accept pressure? We know and can kind of assume that Bengi started topside on the red buff, and Peanut's coming to help already.
Yeah, and this could actually prompt an extremely early dive. It depends on the amount of harass that Smeb would get, who's actually turning towards mid lane. FLICKR without cleanse.
Level 2.
Kuro with the flash there.
Into the pillar, forcing flash. That
So
was
this
the
is
flash and ghost.
It's a good plan,
Wow.
but it's executed poorly.
I don't think they're going to get the dive, but it is damage.
Yeah, there's a chance they'd be able to get the kill if they wait a little bit longer on that, but getting both summoners will really diminish the pressure FLICKR can have in the mid lane.
But the tension is there because Peanut kind of called out that play. Again, he only waits for 3-4 seconds. He was on the way back when his mid laner flashed in. And right now, we're seeing these 3 pushing lanes come to fruition here. That's exactly why Peanut does not want to waste time ganking. Because with 3 pushing lanes, you want to finish your jungle as fast as you can, start getting control of the river, and start spotting where Bengi is in his jungle.
So much going on right now. ROX Tigers definitely have the tools for the early pressure, but yeah, that blue handoff is going to help FLICKR a lot.
But they're going to know.
Yep.
They're going to know that Bengi started red buff. His Skrugs are still up here. Bengi's going to technically be behind in camp still if Peanut decides to outpace here.
Right, and the natural move here for Peanut, I feel like, is to try and make his way up to the top lane. They know that Bengi just handed off the blue buff. He could recall and run immediately down to the side, because now we're talking about the information Peanut is working with. So if he does want to gank the top lane, he has to go relatively quick.
Ooh,
He sneaks in.
Sneaks by. We don't know where he is right now. Neither does Bengi. Bengi's going to know the Scuttlecrab has just been taken down.
Now he has to get really scared, and
But
he also
does he
has to
guess
tell
wrong?
Duke to worry out a little bit.
Oh, there he
The
is.
Fresh, there it is. It's Peanut. A lot of damage down, 300 HP on Bengi to repel the chase. Couple more attacks to Flash. One more Q will get him. And Peanut solo kills for first blood.
He reads the game. The blue buff handoff again cost SKT too much. It already happens in the series. When FLICKR walks back into the lane with blue buff, it is not worth the information cost against a team so good as the ROX Tigers.
And how clutch Peanut with that move. Also burning 2 summoner spells from FLICKR and the flash, but Gorilla, bubble!
Re-engage. Look at the damage output on towards him. 100 health left from the Zyra Prey. Weaving in a couple of auto attacks, getting a decent chunk down on towards Wolf and Bang, but look at what they can do with this Nami. Another volley comes
Teleport.
through. But it's Smeb on, no, it's actually Kuro on the chase. He's got no flash, but he's gonna land a slow into a whole bunch of CC, and it forces Bang to flash out.
Oh my goodness, the early pressure by ROX is already mounting on SKT. SKT cannot lose these lanes too
Yeah, and
badly.
Bengi just wants to slow down Kuro. He doesn't care that he's spotted here, but he just wants to give this a major hit to Kuro's economy, because not only is playing against a blue buff FLICKR, he left lane, losing some experience here. This in turn frees up FLICKR, unspotted. They're looking to react here because both Prey and Gorilla are so low. They were looking to burn chip damage or just simply die to bot lane.
Scouts the red buff. They're very low level, but it
works
would
big.
be a 4v2, so they're...
Bangy.
Peanut
And it's
there
finally
again!
Peanut there again to push the Lee Sin out, but be careful because Bangy wants a bit more. Won't chomp for any extra.
Every move you make, every step you take, Peanut is watching you in your jungle if you're Bengi. The mental blow this must be. 2 times does he attempt to make a play. Twice in that brush is a nasty spider link.
And there was one other time in this tournament where the ROX Tigers were 1 game away from elimination. It was ROX Tigers against CLG in the group stage. Peanut played Elise in that game, got an early kill, and rushed Sorcerer Shoes. Then he went on to get 10 kills in that game. He's looking to do that again. He has been in the right place. He's going a build to try and carry, and now it's all about whether or not he can carry ROX to the finals.
The early Sorcerer's Shoes. It's all about how much damage he can do to other champions. That's the test for him. He's out of mana right now. He's kind of stuck in spider form farming. What he can do next?
Just like we've seen the past few games, ROX, first they use the information where Bengi is. They extrapolated it from FLICKR's blue buff, and they play around it. In all this time, Smeb has continuously been pushing the top lane without any repercussions because he knew exactly where Bengi was at every single moment here. And that's the power of the ROX early game. They just find their opponent jungler and play around it.
Smeb actually allows Duke to recall. I believe he had the ability to stop it and said, no, I'd rather you go back to the base. I want to shove this in and get my own quick recall.
Yeah, Smeb also wants to get items of his own. There is the beginning of some armor for Duke, but he's not quite there yet. So I'd expect about another 10 CS advantage to creep up from Smeb, and then you hope it's equalizing, unless Peanut's able to dive that lane somehow and really snowball it in Smeb's favor.
It's a little late right now. Obviously, Poppy W can stop her Lily's Q, although I think it still applies to damage. It's still just too risky to dive a Poppy at this point. It's better to just have Smeb push, peel him off, and have him threaten this mid lane turret. In their past games, though, Peanut would go towards top lane Smeb here, but he's actually changing up his pattern, moving into lane gang bot. He is playing against the Hawkshot champion in Ashe, though, so this is extremely risky. High cost, high reward.
Exactly. Peanut has been so committed to ganking bottom lane, and ROX Tigers as a team have this setup. They have 2 pink wards in this bottom side. That's the lack of vision from
There we go.
SKT. They get him again.
Another stun into the room, into all the damage, and yes, they pick him off. Prey gets Wolf. 2-0 ROX Tigers.
And I said 2 pink wards. It's actually 3 pink wards to set up the bottom game, making sure nothing can see him on the approach up a sec from a hawk, except for a hawk shot.
And while it is a great play from Peanut, we have to question Bang and Wolf here when the opposing team comes back to lane with 2 pink wards. You've spotted them, you know this far before. Why would they invest so heavily in vision? You should be afraid of this brush here, but again, Peanut walks in, waits 2 seconds, gets a cocoon. This guy is so efficient.
Yeah. You definitely do have to criticize Wolf for walking past his minion waves. The only way he dies is if a cocoon hits him, and he actually had the minions there, which could block. Peanut's feeling good.
This guy gangs.
This guy knows how to play League of Legends.
Oh man, looking to get a little bit more. HP on the red buff, grabs it down. Not too big of a problem right now. Peanut level 6.
And I just love how chill they are on stage. They lose the second or the fourth game. They couldn't knock that SKT out of the tournament. They walk off stage, they're all smiling. They're joking around. They know it's still possible. These guys have such great teamwork.
And also, both teams right here need to display a high level of endurance. And the fact that ROX Tigers is bouncing around just speaks to how much energy they have. They have been on stage playing in some of the most tense games of their entire lives. The semifinals for the World Championship for 5 hours, and they're still so bouncy and full of energy. ROX Tigers, definitely a good start to the game.
Yeah, it's almost 11 o'clock at night. Oh, time with the flash. The kick on a Gorilla. The Q lands as well. He flashed to get back towards his tri-brush, but has nowhere to go. Wolf, sadly for SKT, is the one to secure the gold. The 300 going to support Nami, the worst recipient, but it is still a great kill for Bengi.
Yeah, they did need to kind of dump damage on him because Prey would have been able to move up a bit with the heal, but that's a huge boon to be able to get a little bit back into this laning phase right here. Unfortunate for SKT that it's actually a Cloud Drake. The Ocean Infernal around all would have been better in this situation.
Yeah, but they've lost also 2 of their pink wards here, so major hit right there to the vision. Look at Bengi. Just scoots in through. Challenging Gorilla as he sets for the vision. Totally unexpected.
And instant decision making as well. Kicks him, throws the Q immediately, makes it so Gorilla can't dodge it. Then he delays on the follow through from his Q because he was trying to get the most execute damage possible on that play.
Yeah, it was such a surprise that Gorilla wasn't ready to flash. The fact that Bengi, instead of walking over for a potential kick, he just simply went for the flash kick. So many players are so used to Lee Sin's walking up for kick flash that they didn't expect that the old variant is still entirely viable play.
Well, Bengi's been around a while. He knows all the
Old school. Or maybe he's just getting old.
Well, results don't lie, though. So far, Bengi has done pretty well for himself. Yes, been caught out once or twice by Peanut, but that was more excellent play by the ROX Tigers junglers than objective mistakes from Bengi himself. So far, pretty good for him.
And as expected, 30 CS deficit here, even over 30 from Smet. Pushes up, gets a ward, gets rid of the pink ward. He just wants to keep pushing. There's no dive attempts anymore. The earliest you can dive a Poppy is like level 3, 4, but after that you probably shouldn't attempt it anymore.
Yeah, especially. The one thing that does help is that Peanut's a more magic damage dealer right now, so the Chain Vest doesn't really help against Elise, but yeah, the difficulty is still there. Poppy ejects one, focuses the other, hides in her turret.
Steadfast presence as well, cancels J sleep forward, a little bit of damage. Elise Q is annoying to cast. So let's look at the bottom side of the map here. That's where the action was focused. And Prey, or Bang rather, has Arrow online. And Prey and Gorilla know exactly how potent that single ability is.
Gorilla's flashless.
Yeah, and this is also where SKT drafted to try and take the edge. They picked the Ashe and the Lee Sin when Jace was up, so they want to be able to control the bottom side of this map.
Ooh, Shockwave's gonna land all the damage they need! And Peanut fails to repel it. What a great kill for SKT.
Or even just flash it here. SKT, the mid-jungle synergy is back.
They have been developing it for years, but as you say, Peanut, maybe with fatigue, maybe so much confidence, thinking that he'd be able to just walk out of that, gets caught in the CC chain, and there goes the jungle control. It's in the side of SKT.
And it's something I was...
Oh, this is just so huge.
Oh, yeah.
This turret.
This is this turret falling rapidly, taking the focus fire. A cannon wave is there. Prey wants to wave. Figure says, don't you dare, I'll tank for the minions. Gorilla blocks the arrow. Sure, everyone's playing it right, but at the end of the day, when it's all played properly, it's SKT who gets the first turret of the game and a gold lead.
And that's the Orianna pick into the Karma. It scales better, and eventually, if you give it 2 blue buffs, it will also roll much better. Lost Chapter plus blue buff, so hard to deal with, even if you're Karma, which means FLICKR and Bengi are in the jungle first. And to go for this play, really hard to spot, honestly. Well played by FLICKR.
It was on the very edge of the shockwave. He didn't flash because I don't think he thought it would hit him. Now he invades.
But there's teammates around. Duke also teleporting to come down to the bottom lane at the same time here, because Neb was already in there looking for a play, and it's a 2-man knockback by Duke, still rooted up by Prey. Can a bit more happen? Yomu's means the flash comes out of Duke.
We're going to have to see the setup to that play again, because I believe he teleported in to save FLICKR, and this is where the game is kind of descending into chaos.
And Peanut, in the recipient of this chaos, taking plenty of damage. Get away with this for now. 700 gold lead SK Telecom T1, plus the Cloud Drake defending mid lane.
But SKT playing macro again. They take tier 1 tower bump. They swap their 80 carry to the top lane. They need a hold here, though. That's a wave clear shockwave partly from FLICKR, but it's not enough.
Yeah, the minion wave still coming from the back. This is an extension of such a long play. They get a lot of damage on the mid lane turret.
And Tidal Wave means 2 turret shots on Prey, who's now too low to fight easily.
Yeah, Spiderlings could tank for a while, but SKT is buying time here. They're trading turret for turret. Mid lane turret is pivotal, though, in the defense. SKT is holding up. The better macro play wins here.
Oh, and this is fascinating. Bang sees him with the hawk shot.
Shock Blast lands.
That's flash and heal.
And he has the ulti as well.
And for a series that is mostly played around ROX Tigers getting control of the side lanes and having FLICKR win in the mid lane, it's so fitting in the 5th game how SKT nearly take both side lane turrets while their mid lane turret is the one that is low. It has been such a close game, and Bengi caught by Peanut.
And it's Bengi trying to get away. He's only in range for one more shot, and he's gonna go! Kuro, actually! Beautifully executed. ROX Tigers do find their way in.
Now they handed over the red buff to Prey 2 with the final shot right there. Just before the turrets fall, everybody gets in time to defend them, respectively mid and top lane here. It is ironic that the mid lane turret is to fall, but it's also because it's FLICKR leveraging advantage from his mid lane into the other lanes, especially what SKT need. He was spending so much time in the bottom lane here. Slowing down the teleport, he gets out.
Yeah,
lands, Duke could have canceled.
Yeah, Duke definitely should have canceled that one. FLICKR was in trouble, but he had already ghosted to being mostly in safety, and that burns both of Duke's summoner spells. He can't maintain pressure in the bottom lane, and then that also makes the rotation a little bit easier for ROX because they know that Duke can't threaten or help hold that mid lane, so game stays very close.
All right, the next real objective on the map is this tier 1 tower in the top lane for SKT. Most other turrets are defendable, there's no rotations possible, so it's River Vision and top tier 1 where the fight will be most centered around.
And interesting how they've actually had Kuro down in the bottom lane. They're very much doing the double TP as we've seen a lot in this series and trying to set up the 1-3-1. Duke doesn't have teleport, neither does Kuro. It leaves wave clear in this lane for Smeb, and really, based on these really peculiar map rotations, I actually feel like SKT does have the pressure advantage, and they're the ones trying to get that outer turret you talked about.
That's why they want it. They also have the looming threat of the Ash Arrow. Any time could strike from Fog of War.
Definitely the case. It's one shot could result in a kill if Bang can land it. We'll see. It's a very tight one. 400 gold only separates these two squads. Spot in the finals on the line for this single game. Peanut has had a pretty good amount of early pressure on that trademark release, a champion we know he's been so good at. Gets pushed to. He found other advantages though as well. The shockwave's gonna hit Gorilla. He flashed up, but not in time. FLICKR gets the kill. Now the re-engage, so it snipes on toward the mid laner. Then back towards Wolf, and just not enough damage really dealt. The knockup in for Duke means a bit more towards Smeb. Half HP, 1,000 in the Jace. Now looking for a bit more. They're not gonna find Bengi for much of it. ROX Tigers 4v5.
But the fatigue is definitely kicking in here for ROX Tigers. This is multiple shockwaves that should have been flashed.
And FLICKR is on point right now with Orion. You have to give him the credit of these shockwaves being right on the edge. And yes, they've been on stage for 5 hours. They have missed a few of the flashes. But if FLICKR wants to take back that title, this is when he has to do it.
Gotta do it now in this game. Root him to FLICKR the damage. But wow, Peanut gets shut right out still. The turret does go through to ROX Tigers. That's an advantage still for the blue side. Putting that gold right back to equal. 26-3 to 26-5. And a reset.
These are the 10 game 5s you're hoping for. We're 200 gold difference, 1 turret to 1, 3 kills to 3, 17 minutes into the game.
It's hard to tell, but it feels like ROX is a little bit playing on a timer because their mid laner just becomes so obsolete later in the game. Kuro is already behind in CS.
Gorilla lands the root. He's gonna go for the knockup following on to Duke. That's gonna force the flash out, but how much more can he do? Ulti is down, so there's no disengage tools easily for Duke. But he's too durable.
It is so hard to kill the Poppy as Jace once he's got these items. This is why you get an early CS lead on Jace, but then Poppy neutralizes. Sunfire Cape, Ninja Tabi, plus the bonus armored magic resist Poppy just gets from her kit. Insane.
It's going to be Cloud Drake going down SKT. Double Cloud Drakes here. It's going to be a trade basically for pressure on the top side. ROX trying to push that one down. There's no one really defending, just the Poppy. Maybe this gets turned in, but SKT still wanting to pressure more. 4 members near the mid lane, but not really sticking through for the pressure.
I can't help but laugh at the Drake spawns in this game. We had triple Infernal, triple Ocean, triple Mountain,
and
we're
now
gonna have triple Cloud in the 5th game.
SKT probably not too happy with that one though.
No, not at all. But the thing is, they're gonna be so fast, right? And that actually does matter, Crepo, as much as we like to criticize Cloud Drake. It's not as good as the other ones, but it's not without its advantages, guys.
So in my sample size of 1 each, the only Drake that lost was triple Infernal. All right, double Mountain 1, triple Ocean 1. Triple Cloud win could mean SKT goes through to prove once and for all Infernal is the worst, Drake and Cloud's the best.
Definitely the worst. Bang facing right now. He's coming from Fog of War, so this means momentum for SKT. They have more bases on average on their champions. They're looking for
No
Q on top.
flash.
They wanted to.
He's in range for a play. Q's gonna land onto Smeb. The kick flash, the knockback's not in time. Here comes the rest of it. A nice tackle for Duke. The tidal wave, the bubble, all the damage they could need. Kuro's trying to help. And can they get Bangy? Yes, it's a 1-for-1. Now the re-engage of Duke. Deadly Flourish misses, but Curtain Call could land. Slow into Wolf. FLICKR comes to help, and he forces the flash out of prey. And it's now the re-engage. Look at the damage Bang can deal. Kuro in danger. Another slow comes out of Kuro. 1-for-1.
And this is SKT kind of pulling the trigger too early. They had Ashe coming from base with item advantage. They didn't need to kill Smeb, just get him away from the minion wave and look for the objectives. That was what ROX was doing so well. When they were playing the Ashe, they always tied in the kills to the objectives. SKT tunneled too much on the Smeb kill, did not expect Kuro to teleport.
And that's the big thing. The AP Karma in the mid lane has insane shields. Bengi executes this gank quite well, getting the kickback as Smeb is using the disengage. But with the Karma teleporting in, it's just a Nami, a Lee Sin, and a Poppy. They really don't have that much burst. They end up coming in for the trade kills, and the Ashe Arrow flies wide. No teleport. Can they get Kuro?
He's flashed away from the bubble, and yeah, you're right. The teleport from Duke means ultimately nothing. It's a trade of Summoner's TP for Flash.
Ooh, and this is really good for ROX Tigers, because in all that exchange, they have teleport advantage on Smeb out of all people, who has really good side lane pressure. So right now, they can take the momentum, start playing the map.
Yeah, and in a game this close, every little bit of gold counts. And when you can fell turrets as a Jace, that's huge. He already has the push on the bottom side. SKT is forced into responding to this one.
Bang is nowhere close.
And neither is Kuro, though, and Kuro has no teleport. SKT knows this.
Peanut and Bangy trade a few blows. Duke nearly invincible, but still some damage down to this turret as the Poppy gets poked down a little bit by Syra, but yeah, not too much gain. Peanut and Frey walking back through the side and out of range of everything else. No Q gonna land for Bangy. Arrow gonna hit him in the face, and Prey is not long for the world. There's the kill coming through to Duke himself. SKT still on the chase, though. Can they get a slow on the Gorilla? No, not just yet. ROX Tigers forced to disengage. Kuro clears mid.
Prey felt so good about that sidestep on the Lee Sin Q, and then out of nowhere, look at how FLICKR as well, blocking the wave clear in the mid lane from the Karma so they can actually get access to the turret.
That's the turret.
Yeah, mid lane turret down, top lane turrets at a sliver as well. SKT trying to take all the outers. How fitting that Prey, the Ashe of the day, gets caught by Bang's Ashe Arrow. That pick has been so pivotal in this semifinal series, and they get Gorilla. Gorilla's flash.
Maybe a little bit more tidal wave, and oh! FLICKR blowing up, but Gorilla can be next. No! A great flash with the shield. Now the chase is slow from Kuro. Duke disengages one. It's Smeb out of the fight, but it could still be enough. No, the repel not in range to find a target.
And Crepo, you mentioned SKT going a little bit preemptively in the top lane. They do it again in the bottom lane. They do not have total vision control. FLICKR tries to take a shortcut to a fight where they pick people without damage. They landed the bubble, but didn't actually have the follow-up that they could get onto Gorilla. Everyone on ROX gets away. FLICKR gets picked off.
Yeah, just as you said, everybody's looking so much at Zyra being picked off. You gotta be respectful and mindful of Fog of War. Gorilla has his flash in the end. Good disengage here by Duke. He's definitely doing his role.
Ooh, a 22-minute Baron.
Lee Sin is alive, but no smite right now for Bangy, and it won't be up in time. But they don't know that's the case. 2,700, but he can't do it with smite. It's going to be all about this. He's in the pit, and it's the kill on the Peanut. The fight for either side, and it goes to Smeb to try to save the game. But it's so many kills coming through for SKT. Smeb cannot pick off Bang, and it's a 4-for-0.
What the hell just happened?
Bangy goes in. He stops Peanut from being able to secure the Baron, but then he leaves the pit. He had the Baron smite. He didn't want to die, even though they caught ROX doing the Baron at 20 minutes, which is a high-risk play. They don't get the Baron, I don't think. No, Jace got the Baron, but they do get the kills and they can push mid.
Kuro, the one surviving member. Now the question is, how much does SKT get? Of course, it's early in the game, so it's only one turret. The Baron power play overall, of course, negative 1,000. Maybe more now, 1,900.
Even though Bangy didn't get the smite right there, it's still a hero play. He gets the pink ward in, he goes, and look at all the damage Peanut takes from the back spikes, from the Baron right there. Then the volley hits him, the arrow hits him, the kick hits him, and he falls. And then Bangy would die, but he didn't even have smite up when he was going for that. So he does jump outside of the pit, and disaster strikes for ROX Tigers there. They're lucky it wasn't worse.
Yeah, don't need smite. The illusion of smite is enough.
Just kill the enemy jungler.
And Peanut, like, he juked the Lee Sin Q. I was wondering why he just wouldn't take that. Then move to the side. Honestly, somebody else should be blocking the axis of Lee Sin there and have Peanut on the side going for the execute. Obviously, very easy for us to analyze. outside the fact, but you gotta be ready for it if you want to commit to a 20-minute Baron in a Game 5 against SKT to keep your chances for the Summoners Cup alive.
And it just speaks to the situation we're in right now. The high pressure situation. ROX tries to take a giant risk. It doesn't
gotta
pay
be
off.
careful. He's gonna jump to the minion. The heal comes in and he will get away with it. But that is still summoner heal down from Prey to keep his jungler alive. SKT control the vision around this Drake.
Yeah, and third Cloud Drake is just gonna make them even so much faster. Also means they can't get a fourth Cloud Drake. They're guaranteed to get a better one next.
Say better. Oh, it's Smeb getting caught up with this one, though. Jumping over to the minions, trying to get away from Bang. Thankfully not slowed by the volley, and he is going to get his life out of this one. But the Q's going to land. The tackle, the knockup, they want Kuro. The kickback out of Prey. That's already one. Will it get two? Looks like yes, Bangy secures it. And SKT on an absolute tear, looking for more. Chased by Faker, stays alive. Thanks to help from Wolf. The re-engage Bangy is low. Smeb tries to carry the fight. Just a clean 2 for 0. No stun's going to land, and he gets out.
Some really pressured plays coming out of these guys. FLICKR flashing into the turret, unable to get the final kill, but they still get 2 off of the pick, and SKT need to calm down. They have a huge gold lead, they have the experience, they have the track record, and they are in a position to go to the finals if they play this out.
They just forced a negative 3,200 Baron power play on the enemy team. They shouldn't be this erratic, but they're buying into, honestly, the hype of this series right now. They find Smeb early. Look at the way Duke and Banky magically connect here.
Oh my.
The range extension on the Q actually allows Banky to get behind the enemies.
Yeah.
The fact that Poppy Flash eased him closer was a Banky delivery system to get that kick in place.
It was gorgeous. Then FLICKR tries to go for the execute on a Smeb, misses his QW combo, and they do get out of that with still a hugely positive play. At this point of the game, there is still vision control for ROX. They have a pick composition, but they are getting crushed in the scaling war. Deathcap Orianna, hugely tanky Duke that no one can kill right now.
Yeah.
So ROX need to make weird plays happen to throw SKT off their game.
It's a 4,000 gold deficit for ROX Tigers. SK Telecom T1 have weathered the storm, and they're now making the move. With the triple Cloud Drake, they run insanely fast. They can make the rotations happen, get where they need to be on the map. And they've got the gold lead to make sure those fights finish in their favor. Now a red buff attempt for the steal. Duke in towards Peanut. Look at the damage he's got on that. Peanut does no damage back to him.
We talked about the way that Jace Poppy matchup can swing, how Poppy can exit that lane at 30 CS negative, and that's still okay. You then add 5 kills to that equation. It's actually even gold with the Jace right now, which is insane because the Poppy just feels so much stronger. So take that 4,000 gold lead and add to it because of the scaling advantage of that Poppy in the Jace matchup.
Definitely because he just has the power pick. Another shockwave right here. Gorilla getting knocked around.
Arrow into everything else they could need. A 2-man knockup, and Bangy wants maybe a bit more, but he bites off more than he can chew. That's 1-for-1 jungler for support down. But look at this. Duke is invincible, and the bot lane turret's already dead. Maybe not as invincible as we think, though. Still getting worn down, but Smeb goes for a shot onto the back line. Another root onto Duke gets healed up again by the Nami, and just no damage really comes through on this one. But it's going to be the shot into Bang. Deadly Flourish picks him off, and now it's a numbers lead for ROX Tigers. Shock Bless land, also a slow in for Kuro, and he gets the chain. He gets the root, but not going to get it all the way, and Duke is able to walk out.
Not
Deadly
only
Flourish, though,
is Duke so tanky, the fact that Orianna's shield gives you additional resistances and shield as well makes it impossible for him to go down because it takes such a long time to whittle him down. If they get access to anybody behind Duke, that's the way ROX can strike.
Wolf can also heal. Notice the shockwave hits Peanut. The Ash Arrow hits Gorilla, though, as Peanut had repelled up, and they secure this kill. And SKT is hoping to dive with impunity right here, but the turret locks onto Bang, which delays the follow of what they wanted to support Bangy with. Still a poor play by Bangy to go in before. Then it just kind of goes to show how ROX is trying to play this poke game, and they are landing enough skill shots to make it count. Bang picks up a little damage from the bouncing grenade, gets finished off by the Deadly Flourish.
the rest of this chase, it's ROX trying but not able to quite secure it. No CC was really left to be had, and everyone else able to disengage properly. But now the play towards topside. They do see FLICKR, and the Cocoon's not going to land though, so can they get anything else? The flash chase, it's Smeb onto his face, looking for a little bit more, and he's not going to go down. FLICKR, with just a ghost, gets away with it.
He knew they were coming. The second Gorilla charged at him in an empty lane. He did a minor step upwards, forcing the Cocoon to ever so slightly miss. This leaves mid lane exposed, but Prey is here to defend. but that was so close. FLICKR saw the enemy support running at him. He knew he was getting ganked, and then the cocoon was just a hair short.
Just a hair short, and just a split second off from flashing away from the shockwave, and so many incredibly slim margins that could decide this series, and that's what makes the best players the best. The ability to perform in clutch situations like this. FLICKR in a bad position, able to make the miraculous escape.
And now the margin remains at 5,000 gold, and it's SKT taking control over Baron. It spawns right now, and it's the red team. It's SK Telecom T1, defending world champions who hold the cards, who can make the play to secure this game.
And for SKT, it's all about calming down and finding the standard fight.
Yep.
They have a huge tank. They have a traditional mage in the Orianna. They have a supportive backline. They have standard team fight lines. So they need to find a standard team fight against ROX, who is all squishy, all poke, all pick. If Duke can just get in with a strong front line and push them back, that's how SKT wins.
Immediate tidal wave.
SKT, there is a solution to this puzzle. They just need to lay down the pieces in the right order, and they leave ROX with no counterplay.
Uh-oh.
You have Duke flanking, he can return to bot lane. He's just checking for vision. He's just securing his own push down to the bot lane, 1-4. First, you get the mid lane control. That's what Bang is doing right now. Look at how far he's contesting here because there's no pickoff.
Gotta be careful.
Ooh, yeah, Bang getting away with that one. Not gonna get rooted up either, but the funny thing is,
Yeah, the risk there. If Bang misses the sidestep, he's dead.
You don't know. But Peanut doesn't know. He doesn't want to face it because he sees 3 members in the mid lane. This is so created by SKT. The guts it requires to call this Nasher.
FLICKR's half health, half on it. If they chase them down, they'd get the kill. They need to get the Baron and get out of there.
that's gonna be secured. Now is there gonna be a fight on the backside? That's a Baron buff and a 6,000 gold lead for SK Telecom T1, and it's not gonna be any kind of fight at all.
The ROX Tigers step into that abyss thinking that the Baron at worst was at 7,000 health. They walk in and 2 seconds later it drops, and that's when they know they got played. FLICKR and Bengi, the dynamic duo, Batman and Robin, they return and they take down the Nasher. They just sneak it. While Bang is just playing so far up, relying on his individual prowess to sidestep Deadly Flourish.
FLICKR and Bengi, the best duo Q of all time. They're just the difference between ROX's Baron Sneak and SKT's Baron Sneak. Peanut couldn't quite make it there in time.
Lands
zoned out.
cocoon on a Bengi. That's clutch, and a quick shot on a Wolf as well. Means a half health Nami. ROX Tigers able to slink away, but they've got to now withstand an SK Telecom T1 Baron. And even to add insult to injury, what I think is the best one they could have gotten, a Mountain Drake now. So they can knock down turrets even better next time around.
And honestly, Duke right now, coming into the series, the liability of SKT. Almost every single game, if not all, Duke has had side lane pressure over Smeb, whether it's due to picks or play. But now later in the game, this Poppy is still showing up. He's definitely doing his role so well.
And Duke is a spectacular player. If you criticize him, it's been in times his inability to play with the rest of SKT, but even throughout the LCK regular season, he was the best top lane laner. He's had his hiccups throughout Worlds, like getting solo killed by Looper, but he has held his own and then sub against Smeb in this series.
He's been absolutely a clutch part of this Game 5 win. 5-0-3 on the Poppy, definitely a great scoreline. The split push pressure is great with the Baron buff he's got. Bang, though. A lot of damage, has to pop QSS to get away.
Yeah, SKT going for the Divide and Conquer, really fighting against ROX, splitting them up, just making those individual leads count more. FLICKR again, this time it's in time.
He repels away, so okay, it's all right for him, but now
counter.
Curtain calling the re-engage, but Tidal Wave says no, don't you dare, and Peanut getting lower and lower. Root on a Bangy means it's gonna be a quick disengage, but Peanut has to heal up.
Yeah, and SKT's just buying time right now. Duke never joined that fight. He's just getting these outer turrets down. He's trying to accrue a larger gold lead for SKT so they can just build up as this game progresses. We keep talking about the Jace and the Karma that are going to be outscaled by the Poppy and the Orianna, and SKT know that as well. They can't get picked off.
SKT is not on the clock. They just need to disengage here. Look, preemptive flash from Wolf. And there is no longer that tool that drags ROX into the game. The Ash Arrow was taken away by SKT. They're fine going for the next Nasher. They're fine waiting for Elder Dragon. They have 4 dragons. Even if ROX contest it and steal it, it doesn't give them a bonus whatsoever. And that's the reward of having immaculate dragon control in this final game.
Definitely look good for them. So now we're gonna have it reset shortly. 30 seconds left for most of them having Baron. FLICKR will have another 30 afterwards. He can make one more empowered minion wave ride into the turrets of ROX Tigers. It'll be the reset. It'll be the 8,000 gold lead recall. SKT to buy their last few items. Guardian Angel onto Duke. But even though Lord Dominik is in now for Smeb, he's got as much armor pen as he can realistically buy now at this point in the game. He still is going to have a terrible time trying to shred through this Poppy. Prey himself also just not a great tank killer. Even if he's got armor pen too, it's Gorilla who needs to finish a Leandri's Torment, and he about Quicksilver Sash.
Exactly, and the builds that Jason, Jin are going for are the mid-game power spiking builds, and the mid-game is being completely delayed. They land the arrow onto Gorilla, but he does have the Mikhails.
Yeah, QSS is out. He's going to be all right with that one.
Oh, QSS, rather.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I get those backwards too, don't worry. And now it's the push forward. SKT wearing the Baron buff of FLICKR. Time's out just now, though. So I'm going to poke off the minions.
But Duke again in the side lane, always lurking, always pushing, just adding some pressure, making sure that SKT do not have to bunch up. Because if you play on split lanes, you always have an opportunity to do something. Whether it's peel off for vision, send somebody back to base, keep the map somewhat open at least.
SKT on the verge of punching their ticket to the finals if they win one more team fight, awaiting the winner of tomorrow's match, Samsung Galaxy versus European LCS H2K, and no! That is Prey. Burning both summoners for just the shockwave of FLICKR, though. That is a positive trade for SKT.
Yep. And this is the cycle that SKT is playing. They have a lot of cooldown reduction on FLICKR. He uses the shockwave. If ROX doesn't flash it, they're dead. They lose the inhibitor. If they do flash it, it means the next time they can still cycle it because of the low cooldown. It does, though, mean that SKT need to pull away a little bit because ROX would want to attack while the shockwave is down.
25 seconds, though, and it's back up. Next minion wave that shows up basically is one with Shockwave, and now everyone on ROX has to be afraid of that again.
And FLICKR can put that shockwave down every 48 seconds. Contrast that to a flash. He could get every single flashing cooldown in succession by the time the first one is up again.
But we also talk about fatigue and pressure. FLICKR randomly Zhonya'd after he walked back in lane, so
Style it.
definitely...
You gotta style your way to finals.
He wants the gold medal in the game. He wants the gold medal in the tournament. Let's turn himself gold just to make sure. Or just reflecting the level of that play by popping a Zhonya's out of combat. Who knows? Either way.
The biggest thing is he should sell that potion for a pink ward. He sells it for a needlessly large rod.
Worth?
I'll take it.
Yeah.
But
Pink ward or 60 AP, which would you prefer?
Only a 48 sec. I would definitely, if you're FLICKR, you want to one-shot someone in this game. And he only has a 48-second cooldown on his command shockwave, so that's why he's so free with it. That's a minion wave and a half, essentially, when he's able to use it. Elder Drake up in 1 minute, same with Baron. The vision control is so critical right now.
And it went up the lead to get trade of objectives. At first, it's Bangy just getting away, gets the safeguard in time. The root doesn't matter. A fight over the red buff, and Bang is there saying, hey, I am scary. He is afraid of me. Peanut gonna go for it. Kuro getting caught out, getting for the damage. They can't quite get him just yet. Kuro staying alive, and it's ROX trying to run away. The engage continuing though. Peanut getting lower and lower, running for dear life. Here's the curtain call. But ROX Tigers do not deal damage to these tanky champions. It doesn't matter.
This is so huge, though. We've seen people flashing FLICKR's shockwave. 3 flashes down now for the ROX Tigers with Elder Drake and Baron about to respawn.
Yeah, 2 objectives up, and by the time ROX Tigers arrive to contest either, once they figure out where SKT is going, FLICKR Shockwave is up again already.
It's available, and SKT have all the tools they need. The vision is theirs.
Oh,
ROX
going
are
pretty
flying
aggressive.
blind, turning it back in, looking for the play. This is the fight that could punch the ticket to the finals. Pray for Bang, and Bang wins it. Shock blast is not enough. Bangy on the chase, not gonna get it though. Smeb knocks him back, but it is 5v4, no AD carry for ROX Tigers.
SKT do not want to wait for ROX to face sec. Instead, they take the fight to them. FLICKR, the threat of his ultimate, isolates Prey to the front line, leaving him exposed, and that's a dead AD carry, and that should be a free Baron, if not a free Baron and Elder.
And FLICKR even takes the Wolves, so Peanut can't get the Wolf Spirit Scout when they're trying to save this. They're just burning down that Baron, and ROX can't even check.
Not even a chance to let ROX Tigers back into the game. SKT playing their brand of League of Legends, no openings.
They send Duke to the top lane, have him prepare that wave. Right now, SKT fixing mid lane first. They're likely gonna move into the Elder area. They don't even need to start it. They can bait ROX in, have Duke pressure with the Baron buff in the top lane, and then wait for a mistake. Remember, they have Ash Arrow and Orianna ulti as zoning tools.
And they have ward control in ROX's jungle, so if ROX comes to defend, they would teleport behind them. That is something ROX wants no part of, but now it means they have to deal with a quadruple elemental Drake Elder Dragon, which is an immense amount of true damage every single time SKT land damage.
And about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, Peanut walked off that stage saying one more game. But right now he's looking up at 13,000 gold deficit, a Baron buff, and a 4 Dragon Elder.
And it's full items for everyone who matters here on SKT. Duke is fully tanky, Fanker's got all the damage, and Bang has got all the damage. Slots for pink wards left in the jungle, and the support here basically. ROX Tigers up against a mountain.
It's actually the perfect storm of itemization for SKT. They hit max items on all their carries while still having warding positions on their supportive positions, as they have Baron with Elder Drake. This is the push to get SKT into the finals if they execute properly.
And at this point, you figure it's almost a formality with how good SK Telecom T1 are.
Solution is clear. They just need to dodge the poke here, get it on their tanks.
The wave clear is still very good for the ROX Tigers.
So I need to keep it split. 1-4, if not 1-3-1. That's what I want to do here. Duke is honestly the guy that's going to make the difference. Karma alone cannot deal with these creeps. Look at Duke trying to block it as well. Massive minion wave goes in, which means there's also pressure in the mid lane.
And he's going to rotate back up to that mid lane. Bang, full health, has a shield as well. And now the attacks towards the mid lane inhibitor turret. Not going to mean anything. Gorilla has to cut away from the tidal wave, and the turret's down. Duke in the front line doesn't even take damage at this point. Taking it all up. Bang is fine. Snap on the side, looking for Bang and getting a bit of damage, but he's got Guardian Angel anyway. And Peanut, look at him. He's going down. One hit would have get him. He gets away just barely. Shock blast of the backline. Bang is okay though. He's got healing.
And just the threat of Duke combined with that Orianna ball is enough to send ROX backwards.
Baker gets low though, actually. He might have to heal away from this one. No Ocean Drakes means that damage sticks. It's the inhibitor and the retreat.
Teleport in from Smeb. Elder Drake is now
This
gone.
is important. He can't land another Baker. Maybe a re-engage though. Does ROX have another option? They do not, and they have to back away.
And that was the final bullet in the chamber, I feel, for the Tigers. If that hits, they can clean up, because nobody expected the Shock Blast to come out of that way.
And now their teleport is down. They've lost their mid lane inhibitor. SKT will probably have to wait for the next push. And SKT do know how to be patient right there.
Yeah.
They got the inhibitor down. They suffer no casualties. They continue to fly around the map with these max item builds. And they're just going to regain control and go for the next inhibitor.
Yeah, and you see how safe they play too. Their split kind of collapses every single time. They push in with Duke, he joins the fray. Right now they have a pushing mid lane. They essentially have a 6th member playing the map here. In addition to that gold and item lead and scaling lead they have. Still 30 seconds remain on that Baron buff after the initial time goes down.
Both solo laners show down to Duke, which means SKT can get quite aggressive on this turret.
And again, the tidal wave comes through. Only 3 shots in for Prey, and Bang has to be a bit careful. Does have summoners up. Nice dodge the cocoon.
And there's Mikhail and Wolf. Look how Wolf is just posturing behind. He doesn't care if his AD carry gets hit. Save him at any time.
Shock blast hits 2 though. Bangy and Wolf losing some health here.
Duke's here again. He peels off. He doesn't want to keep split pushing. He's just doing flank pressure. If he moves in, Kuro and Prey have to be so careful.
Poke continues. Bang gets hit with a shock blade. Lands, but look at this now. Down to just the inhibitor itself. A knockback. They might catch up Gorilla. Not going to have it just yet, but Prey caught out and shut down by Bangy. 5v4, and SKT could have another win on this one. Shock. Not going to land just yet.
They're still
but
going
the re-engage, the stun against the wall. Peanut could go down to Bangy, getting the kill again as they move on to the Nexus turrets. And it's all that she wrote for this one. SK Telecom T1 backs against the wall. Bangy himself 3-0 against ROX Tigers in the series. And SKT punched their ticket to their 3rd World Final.
And the team rushed towards Bangy, who is 3-0 in this incredibly intense and competitive series against the ROX Tigers. And for the ROX Tigers, you can't help but feel their pain. They were 1 game away from taking SKT out of the World Championship, but they just couldn't finish it.
And they had so many of the pieces to. The Jace comes through, the champion that SKT were so afraid of playing against. Smeb, the best player in the world coming into the tournament, certainly the best top laner, gets his most favorite champion now in this one. Peanut had that sick early jungle play, getting the solo kill, getting first blood onto Bangy. It's SKT's teamwork, turning it around in the end.
But the Tigers went down fighting, and they delivered a fantastic series here. No matter who came out of this game 5, is a main contender for the Summoners Cup next week.
Yeah, this was a final to many. Even if in actuality it was a semifinal, the entire Madison Square Garden crowd giving a standing ovation to these two teams who played their hearts out for 5 straight hours. And unfortunately, only one team can advance.
And you can't stress enough just how impressive it is that these guys are smiling, comforting each other after this loss. This is a brutal loss for the Tiger. But time to focus on the victors as well here. SKT bowing to the crowd.
And so many people before this tournament were speaking to SKT's jungle as what was going to be their undoing. And it almost was. Blank had some poor games. And again, the crowd chanting Peanut's name. He played his heart out.
Yeah, played his heart out. And I like that the ROX Tigers, they stayed true to their style. They kept trying. SKT eventually figured it out, but it was so close. A couple clutch plays in either direction, a flash here and there, an ultimate sticking, a skill shot being dodged could have been the difference in who we sent to the finals.
Yeah, and you look at the draft that they had in that last game, 2 to 3 pushing lanes and at least for Peanut. I mean, how much have we talked about pushing lanes being a catalyst for crushing people in the early game? They got that draft. SKT just went back to what they're comfortable with. They said, we were going to absorb and outplay and hope that you falter under the pressure. And a few shockwaves weren't flashed away from. SKT kept dodging ganks by just slivers of millimeters of skill shot range. And that's why they're going to the final.
I mean, honestly, an incredible series. You could break down probably 600 individual moments over the course of these 5 hours of games. That, oh, if this thing went differently, if that flash was there, if that repel was there, if that ward hop was there, so many things could have changed. I mean, the one I'm going to point out is the fact that on the attempted Baron sneak, literally the fact that SKT had double Cloud Drake got them to the pit in time to fight ROX Tigers. Literally actually mattered and was the difference between getting there in time. That was actually true. And to have games where they were so close that the actual dragon buffs you got to matter.
Yeah,
that's even rare in the first place. This was an incredibly tight series. And if you missed this, tell everyone to watch it.
Yeah, and these guys as well, like they have so many quick reactions to the map plays that are going on while perfectly mastering the champions that they are playing themselves. Because if any normal mortal human goes up against these players, they will get smashed so hard in lanes. But when we see these guys plays, it looks so even because they're so aware of how to control their champions, all the while communicating as a unit, making these plays, playing chess with their opponents while micromanaging. It's so impressive.
Best series I've ever seen.
Absolutely an incredible series. Beautiful League of Legends for both these squads. Amazing competitors on all sides. But for now, we're going to toss down to Shox for a word with SKT's longtime jungler.
Thank you very much, Freak. Indeed, standing by with Bengi after a heroic performance to bring it home in Game 5. Applause is in order. Your team was on the brink of elimination and you were subbed back in Game 4. Where did you find the strength? How did you do it? Bring your team back and hold them in the race for the Summoners Cup.
뱅기 선수 정말 탈락의 위기에서 이제 다시 한번 경기에 투입돼서 어떠한 힘으로 어떻게 다시 팀을 경기를 끌어올려서 이렇게 승리를 하게 되었나요?
저는 뭐 그렇게 막 좀 그래도 제가 맏형이니까 그래도 제가 가장 좀 상태가 괜찮았어요. 그래서 좀 그냥 화이팅 정도만 했는데 다행히도 이긴 것 같습니다.
As the eldest player on the team, and after Game 3, I was in the best state. All the other players, they're kind of shaky, so I was cheering them up, and we had some fightings, and I think, through that, we were able to win.
Can you tell me about the end of the game when Blank stormed on stage, Coma stormed on stage, everyone stormed on stage, and you guys just seemed to be incredibly relieved that you guys closed it out. What was said in those moments?
이제 경기를 승리 직후에 이제 막 그 코치님이 막 뛰어오르고 블랭 선수도 이제 무대 위로 뛰어오르고 같이 이렇게 얼싸안고 기뻐했을 때 이제 그 경기 끝났을 때 어떤 얘기를 서로 오갔는지 말씀해 주세요.
경기 끝났을 때는 잘했다고밖에 한 게 뭐 딱히 없는 것 같아요. 그래도 뭐 제가 저한테 기회를 주신 코치님한테 항상 감사하게 생각하고 있습니다.
So after the game was over, all we said is we played well, we did good, and I just want to say thanks to Colm, our coach, for giving me a chance to play once more.
One chance to play once more and make it into the final. Now you're heading to Staples Center where you made history with SKT and FLICKR by your side. back in Season 3. What does it mean for you to go back there, get another chance to play, and possibly bring back one more World Championship?
이제 마지막 결승전 무대인 LA 스테이플 센터로 가서 당시에 첫 우승을 거머쥐었던 페이커 선수와 함께 이제 가게 되었는데 이제 다시 한번 소환서컵을 들어올릴 수 있고 이제 우승할 수 있는 기회를 잡은 거에 대해서 소감을 말씀해 주세요.
일단 좀 가장 어려운 상대라고 생각했던 락스를 잡고 결승전을 가니까 아무래도 저희가 우승할 가능성이 한층 더 높아진 것 같아서 일단 기쁘네요.
I'm just really glad. I think that by beating the hardest opponent, ROX, our chance to win the Summers Cup is definitely higher. So it just feels really, really good.
Of course it does. Well, thank you very much. Congratulations, Bengi and SKT. Make it to the World Championship final. Dash, take it away.
Thank you very much, Shox. We're going to hear from FLICKR himself in just a moment. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at this final game here. And that man on your screen, Bengi, I mean, 3-0 in the series for himself here. Definitely a huge boon to the team in coming back in that 5th game and really taking it. I mean,
this is some anime stuff here with Bengi. He was benched for so long, comes back, and then I can't. I'm done. Actually, I'm actually done here.
Kobe's done. He's out. But he proved you right in the end.
He came in there like Superman with the Baron there kicking out Peanut to almost get that
jumping
for the
out
team.
himself as well. But no, Bengi played so well, and I'm so impressed the fact that Bengi actually looked so good on things like Nidalee as well. His Lee Sin performance in the end here was great. We saw one in the quarterfinal that wasn't good enough, and now he stepped it up big time on the big stage when the team really needs him.
And you know, people were asking, including analysts on this desk, why is Bengi here? Why is he still in the squad? Clearly, Blank is your first choice jungler. He has been all year. You have this guy around for the experience, for the big matches, for the times when you need him. Comes in, plays Nidalee for the first time, facing elimination from Worlds. He put it on himself. You know, he was the one that made that draft because otherwise they would have had to hand over the Nidalee. And he did his job well.
And ultimately, ROX Tigers, they went all in on that, you know, poke and pick composition, going with both Karma and the Zyra. Doesn't work out for them, but mostly due to that Baron call at 22 minutes. Very unfortunate for them that it didn't go in their favor. A 4-for-0 to SKT from that. And you got to wonder, is this jitters? I mean, it's definitely a confident move.
Yeah, I mean, this is where 2 seconds faster and ROX Tiger gets the Baron and gets out as well. But SKT are able to get there just in time. Bengi goes in, actually kicks out Blank. Obviously, oh, sorry, not Blank, but Peanut, he dies.
He kicked Blank
Yeah,
out of the series
as well.
He did that too.
He did that too, you know? And then he actually jumps out himself. He's like, you're not gonna get it. I'm not gonna get it either.
He didn't have
but
smite.
we're gonna kill you.
He did have smite, so and it was like he can't auto attack it down.
Yeah, he can. Jay still did it. He just autoed it down and killed it.
Peanut.
And if you were a monster, you could actually summarize the last 4 games of these series in Baron takes. Because 2 against Blank, they DPS down Blank, they take the Baron. 2 against Bengi, they're not able to actually get the same calls. And those were really the pivotal moments of those games.
Yeah, this was the first time they weren't able to start the Baron, stop when the enemy jungler showed up, kill the enemy jungler, and then smite the Baron after. Clearly, Bengi just outsmarting them where Blank didn't.
The attempt was there. They definitely tried to do that, as we saw. They all kind of backed off the Baron, all for naught, though. Something else I want to talk about, Smeb finally getting the Jace, and although he did build that CS lead in the top lane, Duke finding his way back into the game, picking up some kills, and really being a rock for the team, right, on that Poppy.
That has kind of been the story of the Poppy players here at Worlds. You take your beating in the late phase and you just wait your turn because that was really the matchup of the 2 different styles of the team compositions that we saw. We had Poke versus Engage. SKT weathered the storm, and then they were able to take over.
Yeah, and also difference just in the 2 top laners and how the teams are using them. You know, we get carries for Smeb, and they like to gank for him as well when needed. Then they don't really go and gank for Duke very often. They put him on scaling champions. He got the Echo earlier, now he got the Poppy. It's kind of like, we are okay with you losing 20, 30 CS, trying to defend your tower, and then later on you become a split pusher. Like we saw in this game, he was just sitting in the silent 24/7. So Duke is actually really performing well, especially in the later games of this series. After game 2, where it was poor, game 3, 4, and 5, he was actually doing really well.
And look, this is the end of the road for the ROX Tigers. You know, they're done for this tournament. And definitely their narrative went around the world. It wasn't a Korean narrative anymore. People loved the fact that 2 years ago, these discarded players, these overlooked players, banded together to try and win Worlds, to try and win the LCK. They got a lot of offers last year. They stood around because they hadn't got that victory. They finally won LCK. They're stopped here. And it's that narrative that's so easy to understand. And, you know, it feels like a movie, honestly. This series, you're like, okay, they're finally going to do it. They're going to finally overcome at the 4th possible attempt. But it's not a movie. It's real competition, and they came up short for a 4th time.
It's not a movie. This is live, I promise. All right, well, we're going to have some more time to talk about this series in just a moment, but now we're going to send it back over to Shox and talk to the mid laner looking to secure his 3rd championship title.
Thank you very much, Dash. Indeed, joined by FLICKR. Congratulations, FLICKR. We were just talking to your jungler, Bengi, about being subbed in the 4th game, and he said he had a clear mind so he could change the momentum of the team. How much do you think that actually contributed to you guys turning the series around?
페이커 선수 우선 4강 진출을 축하드리고요. 방금 이전 인터뷰에서 이제 팀 동료인 뱅기 선수와 인터뷰했을 때 이제 4경기 들어섰을 때 가장 아무래도 상태가 좋았고 멘탈 좋은 상태에서 팀원들 부추겨서 이길 수 있었다라고 얘기를 했었는데 뱅기 선수가 들어옴으로써 어떠한 원동력을 어떠한 이런 승리의 기운을 가져왔는지 말씀해 주세요.
우선 뱅기 형이 좀 게임이 잘 풀릴 때 굉장히 좀 활기찬 모습이 보이는데 그런 모습이 좀 팀원들한테 많이 도움이 되는 것 같아요. 그리고 오늘 실제로 플레이도 너무 잘했기 때문에 좀 고마운 마음도 있는 것 같아요.
I want to say thanks to Bengi first, and whenever Bengi, like when he plays and if you're having a good game, he plays in a very cheerful mode, and that definitely brightened up the team. So I think that brought us a lot of energy and momentum to play the series once more.
Well, you also had a fantastic series. I want to bring it to your personal performance. There was a lot of talk about Smeb being the best player in the world before this. How do you reflect on your performance today, and do you think you've deserved back your spot on that throne?
이제 이번 대회 들어서기 전에 이제 페이커 선수보다 스맵 선수가 지금 가장 잘한 선수라고 이제 많이들 꼽았는데 이제 그 자리를 다시 탈환하고 싶다고 인터뷰에서 언급하셨잖아요. 근데 이제 오늘 자신의 경기를 어떻게 평가하시고 그리고 오늘 경기를 통해서 다시 한번 1위 자리를 탈환한 것 같다 생각하시는지 말씀해 주세요.
오늘 개인적으로 너무 잘했다고 생각을 해서 솔직히 이제 제가 최고가 아닌가 생각을 합니다.
I think I played really, really well today, so I definitely think that I'm the best player now.
Right, there we go. If there was ever any doubt, finally, when I asked Bengi about the chances to win the World Championship for a 3rd time, going back to Staples Center, he said, well, we beat ROX and it was a hard opponent, so our chances are higher. But do you dare to say anything more confident about your chances of taking home that cup for the 3rd time?
이제 뱅기 선수가 인터뷰에서 이제 그 가장 어려운 상대인 락스타이거 팀 꺾음으로써 3회 우승에 더욱더 그 가능성이 높아졌다고 말씀하셨는데 페이커 선수는 혹시 그럼 더욱더 자신감 있는 멘트를 해줄 수 있나요? 3회 우승에 대한 이제 진짜 우승을 자신 있다는 거에 대해서.
오늘 경기에서 솔직히 좀 저는 결승전 같은 느낌도 많이 들었고 또 오늘 지면 거의 모든 거를 다 잃는 그런 느낌일 것 같아서 열심히 했는데 이번에 이겼기 때문에 저희가 좀 다들 자신감에 많이 차 있을 것 같고 또 결승전도 이번 세미파이널처럼 어려운 경기가 될 것 같지만 그래도 한 단계를 넘겨서 좀 다들 기뻐하는 것 같아요.
So through the semifinals, I think as a team, we overcame a big obstacle, and definitely by beating ROX, I think our team also gained confidence altogether. So I think that we have a good chance to win Worlds. Yeah.
All right, there we go. Well, thank you very much, FLICKR Kansamida, and thank you, Homan, as well. As always, SKT on road to Staples Center, fighting for that Summoners Cup. Dash, take it away.
Thank you again, Shox. Hearing from FLICKR there, he says he played very well tonight. He thinks he's re-cemented himself as the best player in the world. What are our thoughts on his performance?
I mean, some of the gank dodges that he did, the shockwave that he was hitting, there were a lot of highlights.
The man can play League of Legends. Gotta give him that
I
one.
think it's safe to say the man can play League of Legends.
He's back as #1 until God Given shows up, and then, then we'll see.
All right. Oh, everyone, somebody clip that, hold him to it. All right, but we do have to recognize the carry that, well, needs some recognition here. And it's player of the series. That's going to actually be going to Bengi, because this is the player that came in the clutch. 3-0 in this series. We heard it from FLICKR himself that his attitude is so important to turning this series around for this team.
It's a guy that just did not play a lot in 2016. The fact that you can count on him to come in spots like this is the reason he retains his spot. Probably also a smart voice to also have behind the scenes helping out the coaches.
He said he was the oldest member, obviously, on the team. That means a lot in career, you know, come in, add some leadership to the team. And I just think it's amazing to see a player that was kind of out of the roster, wasn't considered good enough.
Yes.
Practice all the way back in. It's like a Rocky movie all over again. He's just going crazy before the big fight, and then he actually shows up on the stage and he ends up knocking out the ROX Tigers. Good.
Exactly that. All right. Nobody else has anything to say about Bengi.
Done.
Well done, guys.
The only thing that could have made it better is if he came in the last game with his SKT skin unleashed.
That would have been even better.
Because he did use his boxing one, boxing analogy, but...
We get it.
All right, but now, before we move on, I want to jump back to something you talked about earlier, Papa Smithy, the end of the road for ROX Tigers, because this was, again, we go all the way back to the beginning of Worlds. This was the team that was the tournament favorite, and unfortunately for them, they have to go up against SKT on this side of the bracket, and that's arguably the toughest road to the finals. It ends here tonight, but we have to recognize all that they achieved this year.
Part of the reason why this was the best series that we have ever had was because of the ROX Tigers, the fight that they put up, bringing out the MF support, drawing bans on it, forcing the bans, Prey stepping up huge, because we're all talking about Smeb and Pina. You know, that's going to be the way that Tigers are going to take their victories. But Prey was magnificent.
Definitely, and the misfortune was awesome.
I mean, that's the simple storyline, right? They didn't make it to the finals this time, but it was a stronger team than 2015 without the same weaknesses. You know, they didn't have Hojin the early game being a bit of a minefield for them. They had a real chance to make it. They were ahead for the first time in a series against SK Telecom on the 4th try, in a best-of-5, of course. But they couldn't get over the line. That's, again, the difference between the movies and, unfortunately, the real competition.
Exactly, and the reigning champs move on. So with that match complete, let's update the tournament bracket. SK Telecom has defeated ROX Tigers and will compete in Los Angeles next week for the World Championship. Of course, tune in tomorrow at 3 Pacific when Samsung Galaxy takes on H2K with a shot at the Summoners Cup on the line. And gentlemen, this is another big matchup here. Both of these teams having swept their quarterfinals, so coming in 3-0s. They've both shown extremely dominant games. What are your preliminary thoughts on this matchup?
Well, it's such a different setup.
Best player in the world.
Yeah. It's such a different setup because it's like H2K and Samsung are the two teams. If you look at the top 4 teams, you're kind of like, oh, these are underneath ROX and SKT. ROX and SKT were like that super hyped up potential final happen right now. We get 5 games, insanely high level. H2K Samsung, I actually don't really know what to expect because it can be one of these very one-sided series where Samsung shows up and H2K can't really get it going. We can also see H2K go in and surprise a lot because I think they have a good enough early game led by people like Forgiven, Yankers, Odo Amnet to actually get an advantage and make it a very close series.
I like you talk about questions because it felt like a lot about SK Telecom versus ROX Tigers went to script. A lot of the things we thought about this series came true, but there's a lot of questions for both H2K and Samsung. Have H2K fixed any of their late game issues? We're not 100% sure. What does Samsung look like in a best-of-5? They've played a 3-0, was very one-sided, but a true best-of-5, you know, with Core JJ again, with these rookie members, we don't know what the big lights here of Madison Square Garden holds for Samsung in a best-of-5.
It makes it kind of hard to, you know, judge the strengths of these teams because they are on such big win streaks. Both teams haven't dropped a game in so long that we're kind of like, oh, well, yeah, Odo Amne, he's been great. Oh, yeah, but Cuvée, he's also been solo killing everybody, right? So, I mean, it kind of, that's part of the reason we're having a difficulty with it. That being said, I think Samsung still is coming in as the favorite team.
It also places a lot of importance on that very first game of the series because having been on these long, win streaks, you're going to have to question how whichever team loses will bounce back in a best-of-5, very much the same way that SKT and Bengi was able to claw back in from a 2-1 deficit. Of course, that game, or rather series, occurs tomorrow, but we're going to look ahead to next week's finals real quick where we're celebrating the title fight over 2 days, and you're invited to join in on the festivities. So tune in next Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific time for a day-long event streamed live on watch.lolesports.com. We'll kick things off with a special live edition of Primetime League, followed by an all-mid, all-star match featuring special guests Boy Boy, Nikki Taylor, DJ Reckful, and more. All chat hosts Jessica Negri and Jimmy Wong lead us through a cosplay showcase before a special daytime edition of Worlds Tonight. Now we'll be joined by Riot musicians and composers backed by members of the Hollywood Chamber Orchestra to cap off the evening with the music of League of Legends Live. And at the end of the night,
the countdown to the finals begins with a marathon of the best games in World's history, right up until our pregame coverage of the final fight on Saturday at 2:30 Pacific. Here in New York, though, stick around for another edition of Worlds Tonight featuring Riv, Spawn, and Jap. But that's going to do it for us. So for myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
I feel like we should make a movie now.
Let's make a movie.
Hello, Madison Square Garden!
This is possibly the most hyped matchup that we've had to date. I'm extremely excited.
The fight continues. Bangy throws the undertow, but he's running for dear life. Snap with immaculate timing. Plenty of CC, but it's still 2 kills picked up, and Duke is just too tanky. Svev is now alone. And it's secured by Bangy. That is a big deal. SKT, shockwave, a shutdown. They've got 3 already. This is an insta-locked misfortune.
Support MF, and support MF is great, right?
That surprisingly works.
Go in, and it's gonna be for Duke first. Look at the damage onto him. Nothing to do at all.
The Outlash arrows! Look at the arrow! Get teleport!
He's gonna stop it out! He stopped Duke, which means they can push. They're trying to burn it down. Is this not gonna be enough? It's not. ROX Tigers answer back with game 2. Here's the jump in. A few more attacks will do it, and that's first blood. With the flash kick on the bang. That was beautiful. Boom, there's the chase down, and Gorilla's gonna make it rain. And the bullet time, and it's gonna be all the damage he needs. Baker's low. How much more can they get? The stun's coming in, and it's Duke with the big play. But the turnaround from There's the Nexus, and it's 2-1 ROX Tigers. Double bomb on a Kuro. Shadow's gonna land this time, and he's gonna get the damage. Yes, he is. First blood in for Faker. But what does it even matter? It's a 4-for-0. It's the ace. It's the game, and it's SK Telecom T1 bringing us to game 5. A lot of damage down, 300 HP on Bangy to repel the chase. Couple more attacks with Flash. One more Q will get him.
천천히.
It's gonna be all about this. He's in the pit, and it's the kill on the Peanut. Fight for either side, and it goes to Smep to try to save the game. SK Telecom T1 backs against the wall. Bangy himself 3-0 against ROX Tigers in the series, and SKT punched their ticket to their 3rd World Final.